Welcome to the Mind Cemetery, where the paranoia about the paranormal comes to rest every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern, right here, exclusively on the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. Heard around the world online at uprntalkradio.com, on FM 107.7 New Orleans, as well as 105.9 in Pass Christian, Mississippi. As always, we will do our best to delve into the unexplained, weird, and sometimes creepy topics you won't hear in your local news. Like what you hear on the show? Then like the Mind Cemetery Facebook page and follow at Mind Cemetery on Twitter. If you want to check out the show on your time, download the Mind Cemetery off iTunes and at soundcloud.com/UPRN. For all of the UFO Paranormal Radio Network's shows, visit mindcemetery.net for info on upcoming guests, weird news, award-winning blogs, show archives, and of course the ever-present UFO Stalker. Join the discussion live in the UFO Paranormal Radio Network chat room on Pal Talk, or call into the show at 1-504-273-7379. Welcome back to the Mind Cemetery. I am excited to be here this week again. I wasn't sure if we were going to do a show with the Thanksgiving festivities that are underway. I didn't know what day we'd be shutting it down here on the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, but evidently we're still up and running, and we'll be tomorrow night, too, so that's always fantastic. In case you were wondering at home. You're listening to us live on 107.7 FM out of New Orleans. You can also listen to us on Pal Talk. There is also a chat room on Pal Talk for the UFO Paranormal Radio Network you can jump into. A few people are in there. I don't know, they may all be like 2 people just signed in under 5 different accounts. Because I'm going to try to use MUFON logic on that one, or at least the Director of Investigations MUFON logic, Yosemite Sam himself, seems to believe that last week we only had 6 listeners. Which is interesting, because if that's the case, then he needs to be asking me why he got the extra likes on his pages and the such things that happened because of it if no one heard it. So, anyway, just more flawed logic from the Director of MUFON Investigations, Yosemite Sam, a.k.a. Steve Hudgens, Jr. I welcome them or anyone else who's listened to that show to question me on any of the evidence I provided or the context that I provided it in. If you have any questions, complaints, comments, please be my guest and send them in to chip@mindcemetery.net. I know that was the official final verdict that came down from the mountaintop with Moses, written on a tablet, as they told me for probably the 5th time that they didn't care. Which is comedy gold in and of itself. But yeah, like I said, if anybody wants to take that episode and anything I read from posts or anything like that and see, and I will provide you the documentation to back it up. So it's that simple. And if I did say something that I can't provide the documentation to back up, then hey, congratulations to you. You got me. I said something stupid. Words happen. Radio happens sometimes. Stupid happens sometimes. And there's nothing wrong with saying you got something wrong. That's why I said I am more than willing to have anyone point that out to me. But I don't expect that to happen. You know, especially from such cowards as Yosemite Sam, who wants to perpetuate a fantasy of him having some sort of credibility or clear path of reasoning behind his decisions lately, and the way he decides to express them. It's funny. It's funny that, one of the stipulations he had of coming on, he sprung on me, was no discussion of MUFON. Okay, well, that's kind of like saying, I'm going to have Hulk Hogan on and I'm not going to ask him about wrestling. Right? And I thought someone similar with a mustache, like Yosemite Sam. So Hulk Hogan was the first one that came to mind there. Wilford Brimley also has a nice stoic mustache. I like that one. It commands respect and authority, or at least hopefully it does. But in the Pal Talk chat room, you'll see chat rooms filled up with people. There's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'll stop at 6 because there's only supposed to be 6 ever listening to this show live. So we have to make sure Grandpa, makes it out in one piece and keeps his beliefs up there. But I found it interesting that, he accused us of that. It seemed like a typical response from someone who gets spoon-fed news from Fox. And, and later on, he said that he's going to leave these posts up and I'm not going to take them down because I don't want to be seen as a coward or anything like that. Well, it's too late, Steve. It's too late because you already are a coward for not showing up and answering questions that we had prepared for you that day, which I could read off because I gave him the question I really wanted to hear an answer to, not any of this other shenanigans. I also wanted to hear an answer to as to why I couldn't get a copy of the actual audio file so I could hear the show myself, which at the end of the episode last week I told you, if I had heard the stupid audio file, I probably would have not even given two shits about it, but hey, whatever. You tried to make me buy a membership. You seriously tried to solicit money out of me to pay for an MP3 copy of an episode to see if you said anything stupid. And which you really didn't in that episode, by the way. It was all for Manny doing his thing. And I don't know if that guy has any conditions that we need to be made aware of or anything like that, because it's not fair to insult someone that you think actually has a problem. Okay? I'm just going to leave it at that. And I have to correct myself from doing that. I have to keep myself from doing that, because usually he, seems like he can put together coherent sentences. Okay? But sometimes when you go back and you listen to Fermanni's interviews from the past, one of my sources, which they wanted the names of my sources, by the way. Another laughable thing. Comedy gold. Not only did they want me to pay for a membership to listen to the archives, but they also wanted me to get up the sources that I had for a lot of the information that was coming to me about what was going on and what was being said. That's another incredible thing. Give up your source. Get out of town. But yeah, it's just not. Somebody needs to say something. If that's the case, because it's really not fair for this man to be out here, doing these things and trying to start organizations for truth and all these other pipe dreams, and to sit back and just fire away at him if there is honestly a problem. Okay, you can't do that. All right, I just can't have that. That's universal for everybody. So it's really not something anyone wants to engage in. That's for sure. So, yeah, it's definitely been interesting the week after
with Yosemite Sam and all that, but I expected that much. And, for people that always claim that they don't like drama and don't like getting involved with anything, well, you're kind of self-perpetuating the entire thing by simply not asking the questions and playing this, role of I won't comment on anything MUFON when any other time you're out here just willy-nilly, throwing that weight around like it's nothing, to get your gravitas, to get your foot in the door, to get your say in a conversation or whatever, to give yourself credibility. And that's something I talked about last summer is the illusion of credibility with a lot of people in ufology. And mostly it comes in the form of a PhD, usually far outside the field of ufology that you think it would require a scientific background, a real scientific background. We're talking physics, chemistry, engineering, and so on. Not, social science or anything like that. But yeah, in the chat room there, Callie, that's kind of my criteria I'm going through now, have a real scientific degree, not just one in psychology or history or whatever, philosophy or anything like that, and then jump into the UFO field and expect to have all kinds of pull because you got a doctorate next to your name. Sorry. Kind of get in the back of the bus, buddy. So that would help, actually. Getting published and actually doing some paperwork would actually help, but not really. You just have to really... honestly, I don't see any real scientists coming to play in the party, so it's kind of a moot point. Is that it's hard to nail down anything like this because it is a pipe dream. It's a lot of what ifs and all that kind of junk. I kind of liken it to, in the sports realm, when people call up or talk about trade scenarios that they just pull out of thin air. Hey, what do you think about this or that? Or, and they start acting like it's, on a video game and you put it on easy and you just can push any trade on through and make it happen. So that's what kind of pipe dream it is, I guess. When you start talking about the credibility part, because these people aren't coming to the field anyway. They've seen what's happened. And we'll talk about that, too. It happened at the American University. That's for sure. This weekend. Or not this weekend, but earlier this month. And turned into a, three-ring circus. Again. Surprise. Excuse me. Had to get a drink there. Sorry. You heard any drinking noises? That can't be fun. That can't be enjoyable to listen to or fun, actually. One or the other. Or both. Either. Or neither. Oh, yes, I forgot. I gotta say hydrate. Is that the bro slang? I guess is that what they say at the gym today? They call it hydrating. No, I'm just thirsty. So, back on that whole shenanigans last week, everybody cries that they don't want the attention, but all of a sudden everybody reaped the benefit of the attention, and nobody wants to notice that, of course. They forgot that part of it, and probably saying, well, how do you know, Chip? Because, I disputed numbers and stupidity that was thrown around earlier. Well, it's easy on Facebook if you are the administrator for a page, and you can watch other pages, compare them to yours, and see, what you're gaining and losing compared to other people, and what other people's interactions are looking like, and who's, got the most interaction, and who's got the least, who's doing well, what are other people doing. It's simple. It's social media strategy, for God's sakes. It's basic too. It's they couldn't. I'm laughing because it's basically what Nicole does for a living, and I get almost no help from her because, you know, I'm the guy who says, oh, you know, I can figure this out on my own and all that stuff. So I'm busy over here rubbing sticks in the woods while she's inside with roaring fire. So, but I get advice every once in a while, and I ask her about stuff, and when it comes into play, and I'm telling her about that stuff on Facebook. She's like, yeah, that's basically they just put training wheels on you and are teaching you how to see that stuff. But it's all very helpful to anybody trying to get a clue eventually on how to be a little more successful in that endeavor. But you know, it's not about quantity; it's about quality. Let's face it. That's what it comes down to. Every time, all the time. I'd rather have a dedicated, moderate-sized group than just massive rabble of idiots that, you know, no comments, no interaction, no nothing. A nice desolate void of conversation, a vacuum. That people say, hey, how can this be? Well, because they aren't real people. Anyway. For the most part. But yeah, you can check that out for yourself. And yeah, everybody got a nice little bump, and even Steve's little crusade for justice and equality in the world, I guess, of ufology. Which is, you know, laughable. Just saying the word ufology, you can laugh. It's okay. That happens. It's a 3-ring circus. So yeah, all the boats rose, whether they like it or not. They're still, you know, hiding from questions. Still a lot of playing the victim. I don't know what I did. I never did nothing to nobody. You know, if you ever seen Scarface, you know how that worked out for Mel and Omar. So that's kind of the same approach that they're taking, I guess. We don't know what happened, but I guess that happens. That's what happens, you know. I expected. They had a couple happy birthdays, Steve Permani, by the way. He just turned 62, so that's another thing I should bring up. Because someday I'll be an old bastard and giving people hell, but at least it'll be some 30-year track record of being a bastard and giving people hell, so it won't be a track record of supporting absolute nonsense, that's for sure. You know. And hopefully, like I said, if anybody wants to point out where I've said something stupid I can't back up in that last episode, go for it. I'm not above saying I was wrong as well. You know, it's all part of it. Just helps you tighten the ship is all. But yeah, it was a fun time, that's for sure, last week. Listening to all that and watching it all unfold and play out and all that kind of junk. So, anytime anybody wants to come on and talk about the things, they're more than welcome. You know, you come back anytime. You know, I know you all punked out the first time, so come on back anytime you feel like coming back and bring your list of questions for me and read me the riot act and all that. I don't care. You had that opportunity the first time. Do it again. You can do it again. It's that simple. Remember, you're not cowards. You're standing up to idiots. Right? I mean, supposedly it was like shooting ducks in a barrel, and then all of a sudden, it's an elaborate ruse. What? Well. I can't think of anything else to say about it at this time. Other than, you know, the best part of the whole thing was in doing just a slight bit of digging, I got to find out even more about the other endorsements publicly that the director of investigations for MUFON has made. John Ventry, of course, being a fan of his and buy his book and all that other good stuff. We had a good time on the UFO Updates page talking about some clips of Ventry and I posted one where he was like, I think it's aliens, but I can't prove it. Well, yeah, no, you don't say. Just classic stuff, classic clips of him for a few minutes where he did a show, a YouTube show he did. That was pretty funny. And, of course, that's a flaming train wreck of Malaysian flight MH370 being abducted by aliens. So, of course, no, everybody in MUFON's been like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, he said it. He's my pal. That's basically what Steve did there. So, fantastic judgment right there, director. The other one that I saw and I found and doing some digging while I was actually looking for updates on a court date was that he reposted the Lisa Romanek letter talking about, Stan's troubles and how it's, government conspiracy. We've been hacked, and thank you for backing us with your truth and your love and your light and your peace and doves and all that kind of stuff. But, he reposted that on a MUFON site, and I just don't understand the logic behind anyone in any organization at any time associating themselves with anyone even accused and charged, but not adjudicated yet, but just charged and accused of distributing child pornography. That's a third rail. You don't do that. If anything, if you were a supporter, you take your ball and you go home. Say nothing and walk away. That's even if you're on the fence, which you shouldn't be on the fence. And you certainly shouldn't be supporting anyone like that. And I understand the logic, because I hear the logic that follows as an explanation of his support was, well, this is America, due process. I'm sorry, I'm just laughing when that kind of stuff happens when I hear it, because I hear that kind of argument all the time. He's not been convicted yet, all that kind of stuff. Listen, I mean, this is the sounds of a man who didn't read the police report. And again, before you come out and pledge your support for someone who's accused of distributing child pornography, you might want to do a little homework. Director of Investigations for MUFON. But that's just me. And I'm one of these crazy kind of folks that when I see someone accused of a sex crime, well, let's just say sex crime, my red flags go up and I'm done with you. I'm going to start looking for dirt now. Because there's a trail somewhere and it's going to come up. Someone's already looking to report on it. So that's when I found that little tidbit back in February, and I know he probably didn't have access to the police report or any of that other kind of stuff. But, like I said, as the director of MUFON Investigations, a representative of MUFON, if you want to repost a letter supporting a man accused of distributing child pornography, you really need to think twice on that. Especially if your first thought was, I need to repost this. So that was just the other nugget I found out there on Steve. So, I mean, that it goes beyond my original questions about the actual compensation of the individuals, the contactees, the people in the reports, and all that kind of stuff. It goes beyond all that kind of stuff that I had ready to ask them on the show. But yeah, when you find stuff like that on a person, and this is all like within the last year, this kind of support, it's mind blowing. This frame of thought, this thought process, this this ability to sit and just say, well, everything was twisted and taken out of context, is not taking responsibility for your own actions, is what it is. It's just stubborn. It's just stubborn, not taking responsibility for your own statements and actions out there. And you can't sit here and tell me that you can just take off the hat, the MUFON hat, and put it on whenever you feel like it's convenient for you. I mean, I don't understand if he's trying to be the next MUFON star or what, but there's a lot of plot holes here. There's a lot of problems along the way to being that next MUFON star, especially when you're very complacent and a lot of stupidity actively engaging in it as well. But I guess everybody loves him, Jan Harzen and all those folks there, the board. Everybody's got a level of Steve, so props to him. I guess if no one's pressing you to change your thought process on how you evaluate your decision-making skills, then hey, if no one's going to push anybody, then where's the motivation to be the absolute best you can be? It's like handing someone a long-term contract in baseball or football. When they're 30 or 32, get out of here. I'm going to give them $100 million in 5 years. It makes about that much sense. So yeah, there's a lot of places you can hear us talk about it all the time. I don't want to really talk about it anymore. They've clearly show that they're not even close to the stand-up people that they claim they are. And Jeff was right that we did get a lot of support coming out of that show. A lot of people talking about their MUFON horror stories, their constant solicitation, for money. Another source sent us an email. He says he gets an email about twice a month from MUFON. Basically junk mail trying to get him to donate to the Kickstarter. And so in that Kickstarter is where I discovered some other work that we can talk about here that I found. And let's see. Let's go with... I found an article here on Blue Blurry Lines. That's blueblurrylines.com. And you check that out. That is the website, the blog of a Mr. Kurt Collins. 2 C's in that. C. Kurt C. Collins. There you go. It would be weird to have a K for a Collins, wouldn't it? Not so weird for a K for a Kurt. I think it's more weird to have a C for a Kurt. Personally. Unless your name's Curtis. But I digress. The Blue Blurry Line site and run by Kurt Collins. badufos.blogspot.com is the other one. Bad UFOs, Skepticism, UFOs, and the Universe here by Robert Schaefer, I believe his last name is. Well-known skeptic, debunker, all that kind of good stuff that they like to hang on you when you stop just willfully being ignorant. And that's what it comes down to. You just eventually there'll come a day in your there'll come a day in your venture into the genre of of ufology, at least, that you'll finally realize that you really need to be a little more skeptical about things, because it's definitely a whole lot of BS out there. So, what one of our other sources was saying, I don't know, Mr. Z, I guess we'll call him. Well, Jeff had Mr. X. I also had a Mr. Y. And then we had a Mr. Z. And then we had Carlos. So there's like three 3, 4, yeah. So there's like 4 real people that they believe Jeff was. So that's what's priceless too, because you got to understand, again, there has to be this grand scheme and conspiracy because they're important people. Just that stupid ego comes into play then that we didn't touch on. But anyway, in these emails, what the other source was claiming was that what they were claiming was, sorry, I got distracted by the chat room. What they were using in there was just, soliciting money, doing the Kickstarter to build a new database. Because after Jacques Vallée came on Coast, everybody must have ruffled their feathers at MUFON and says, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this, build a database and all that kind of stuff that everybody can access. And that's all fine and dandy until you realize that these are the same people that are going to, allowed Bigelow to make his way off with some artifacts here and there and some evidence here and there and files here and there. And, magically the CMS system, some directors weren't allowed access, some investigators weren't allowed access. It just, things come up missing in that file. But these are the people that want to put together a system, by the way. So they put out a giant campaign, right? They want to raise damn near $80,000. I think they've raised $10,000 so far of it. So they're eighth away there. Congratulations on lying your way to $10,000 out of people's pockets, scumbags. But anyway, the Hangar 1 show that they have, they flash a document on there called Mandate 0463, and this is a very important for you kiddies out there that aren't fans of MUFON to throw in their face whenever they want to get a little too puffy-chested about their Hangar 1 show. Mandate 0463 is an absolute fabrication created by MUFON to the best estimates of a Kirk Collins and Robert Schaefer, who had done some articles and written about it being analyzed as a fake. So, you might say, what's Mandate 0463? Well, Mandate 0463 is a piece of paper that they throw up there and say, the Department of Defense and the government and all that stuff is required to deny or is going to deny the existence of UFOs, all that kind of stuff whenever asked by the public. So good stuff, right? And I could say all that kind of other stuff because it's not a real document. You don't have to give it any respect, that's for sure. So under no circumstance are the general public or public press to learn from the existence of these entities. The official government policy is that such creatures do not exist. And there you go. Bada bing, bada boom, there is Mandate 0463. It's all blurry, it's clear, they show close-ups, and then magically we find out, and that was just in Hangar 1, and then we find out it is on the Kickstarter video campaign that they have, a little 6.5 minute video that you get to watch and report a UFO, and they tell you all the big money and fabulous prizes you get for that. So basically that document pops up again in the Kickstarter. So now they're using a lie to steal money out of you when you donate to build a database for them, which they already had this information, which you're correct in the chat room. They do have physical files. Evidently, they were in Cincinnati, in a hangar somewhere in Cincinnati, or a shed, basically, or I don't know what, or a garage, I guess. Is broken down garage, barn, shed, hangar type building structure, but was definitely not anything with rows and all that kind of stuff. Like it wasn't like a library set up. There wasn't giant blast doors or anything. No, there were rats making homes in this stuff. Okay, they were using it to chew on every once in a while. But this came up again because I had originally seen yet again on UFO Updates page, they were talking about the validity of Mandate 0463, and I was, doing my homework here basically and prepping for the show last week, and I came across the MUFON MAME site when I started looking at, who actually the directors on the board were and what the hell their qualifications were. And I think about half of them are there because they've got a nice wallet, I can only assume. But then again, I know that they have a nice airline in Cincinnati, that Flamingo Airline, that McDonald that's on the board, who used to be the director, and he was demoted to just being on the board. And anyway, I know he's got a nice airline that you can go up and take your significant other for a little of the little of the how's your father, and it's that kind of airline. So again, another fabulous choice to associate yourself with such a human being that founds an airline based on depravity, basically. But c'est la vie. That's MUFON for you. So while I was out there digging up, I saw it on the Kickstarter, and I managed to slide that in the post and hand that to Kurt. Help him out, and he created the post there and included that information that it popped up in the Kickstarter, and now basically they're just robbing you of money. And I believe he had written a letter to MUFON asking about it. Why are you guys, what's the excuse, basically? Essentially, the only excuses you have for using that document in Hangar 1 and in the Kickstarter is either ignorance, you didn't know, or you were lying. It's one of the two. It's either you're stupid or you're a liar. So, how are you going to talk your way out of this one? It's just incredible. And of course everybody, who's on that show needs to kind of rethink season 2 at least and say, hey, can we update this opening and take out the fake mandate, or at least give some, small print at the bottom of the screen? Dramatization. That's all you got to put. That's literally all you have to do. And you can do whatever the hell you want. Instead, it's just a game of, we're a scientifically based research organization. What in the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? You're scientifically based in anything. You're perpetuating a myth, a lie, a hoax, false document to prop up your show and to steal money out of people. So he gets this email, and inside of it, it includes all that good stuff. Basically, right off the site, donate, buy some swag, all that kind of stuff. Twice a month he gets it, and he was saying, I'm not even a member anymore, and they keep sending me this stupid stuff. And someone else commented, actually, Jeff commented, he's like, this is so hilarious. He's like, this is just as bad as anything that Gene Steinberg does. The begging that Gene Steinberg does monthly. And I thought, nailed it. You've now relegated yourself to begging people for money, and that's it. So, good luck with that. Congratulations. I don't know what the hell it is you're doing, but the only solution for MUFON at this point is to take it out back and shoot it in the face like old Yeller, because it's done. This is now a joke. Now, I don't understand what... Like, I just don't... Like, I highly question the Kickstarter to begin with. Their planning and the whole project management that they put together. You know, these people are smarter than this. They're trying to razzle-dazzle people, but looking at, like, their projections and where they're at in the development of this CMS system, case management system, and I just don't. And then seeing the actual, like, template, like the search template and stuff, it looks kind of similar to interfaces I've had for search engines or, programs that I've used working for the Department of Public Safety here in North Carolina. So I could kind of see where these people were going and their, ability to house data and extract it via search engine terms. Filling in fields of, age, location, all that kind of stuff. But it looked like there was a ton. There was like 15 different things you had to fill out. It looked complicated and boring, just like the work one did. But there's definitely ways to streamline it and make it look better than a hospital. It's like going to a hospital website, but like a hospital website from the 90s. So evidently this is going to cost $80,000 for someone to develop and roll out there and beta test and all that kind of stuff, which is great and altruistic and wonderful. And I don't understand how an organization who just pisses down their legs so habitually expects anybody to give them any kind of leeway or credibility or support when they're doing this kind of a dirty, greasy business in the background to prop up the organization. So there's really no point in it anymore. So with any luck at all, a melt it down and start over would be nice, but God knows how long it'll go, and who knows? Who knows what the money looks like and how long they can operate and function and their baseline numbers and all this kind of junk. Who knows? That's the big decider in how long this whole charade will actually continue, I'm sure. And as that number gets lower and lower and lower and unsustainable, it'll get dumber and dumber and dumber and degrade further and further into fantasy land. And if that wasn't enough, I saw Linda Moulton Howe, old LMH, November 22nd, 2 days ago, endorses MUFON's Kickstarter campaign. Linda Moulton Howe, congratulations for tying yourself to another Titanic. The woman just absolutely does not learn from her mistakes at all. Here's another researcher that has done zero research when it comes to the organization that, I don't know, probably gave her a little kickback, I'm sure, for her to say something, or, one hand washes the other and all boats rise. I'll do the stupid thing for a good 2-minute clip. It's only like 77 seconds, sorry. I had to get the exact number out there. I was, math, hard, on brain, hurt. Speaking of, we'll talk about some hurting brain later on, too. I just didn't even know this kind of thing could exist. But, yes, Linda Moulton Howe, who was outright fooled by Richard Doty and still kept trying to push it, and now is busy with the booms and the cracks and the underground and the rumblings and the heavenly music and the devil music, and I don't know what the hell she's doing anymore. I just really don't. I can't even stand to hear her on Coast to Coast or tune in for that garbage. I just don't need it. There's just some things you just don't need, Of course you do. Some people might say you don't need this show. Those people might be right. They may be right. You never know. They might they might also tell you something and then message you and say just kidding and then block you. Just kidding. What? You're drunk, obviously. I mean, I know the back hurts, but them pills though, homie. Yeah, another reason to not care for Linda Moulton Howe, endorsing MUFON's Kickstarter campaign, another vaunted talking head here, I guess, in the community that gets a lot of play. I don't know. It must just be the knack to fish in the first people off the boat, and that's about it, you know. Your most willfully ignorant. Bring me your most willfully ignorant. Right? But no, all you really got to do is just play nice and glad hand everybody, and you'll be just fine. Research has shown, at least. Any kind of free thought or objective thought, you are really alienating yourself from the herd and making yourself a target. So it's always best to stay out of others' affairs, and no matter what they do, tell them great job and support everybody, and everybody live strong. or morph it into whatever you have to peddle today. Like I could be Chip Strong. That would be my slogan if I was to create an organization to expose truth and ufology, or something. something. That's what I do. Jumping the shark. Might as well put my jacket on, Fonzarelli. We're at the end of the top of first hour. I don't know, am I going to get a break today, Taliban Joe? What do you say? Speak at me. Or shoot me in the face, one of the two. But whatever you do, don't talk bad about my mama. Then I'll have to get up out of here. And get up in you. No, I'm just kidding. Not that way. Not the prison way. I'm not saying like that. Oh, no. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Right, Joe? Joe's a very beautiful man. And I'm sure he has very soft skin. And he's very well groomed. Hopefully he bathes. I'm assuming he does. Semi-regularly. All right. So, speaking of the brain pain. The brain pain I was talking about. Evidently this joker, so this guy in the UK who had just come back, he's Chinese, he came from China, and lo and behold, he moved to the UK. Keeps getting headaches. I'm having seizures. I'm blacking out. All this craziness keeps happening, right? So they're doing the CAT scans. They scan cats, and worm inside his brain, right? Pictures are up. HuffingtonPost.com. Tapeworm brain. 4 years. That's right. You can live for 4 years, evidently, with a tapeworm in your brain, which is crazy. What else is crazy is when you start seeing the CAT scan there of the guy's brain, you get to really realize how thin your skull is and how thin the skin layer over your skull is. It's like right there. Right there. There's no leeway. And looking at this, too, it really makes me think of football players banging their brains against the inside of their skull. I could see it happening regularly. But yeah, this thing only grew to be about a centimeter long, right? Only. This worm's only a centimeter long, and thank God. This poor Chinese guy. I can't pronounce his name. I don't think it even gives his name. No, they don't. They don't give his name. 50-year-old man. Had it in there for 4 years. They actually did remove it. And this was back in 2012, evidently. So the big to-do as to why it came out now was, there's only 300 cases of infection by the parasite being reported in humans. So tapeworm is specific to China, South Korea, Japan, and Thailand. So this specific kind of worm comes from crustaceans and reptiles. Or, here's another handy-dandy little nugget for you. In China, there's a remedy for sore eyes. Don't ask me what your eyes would be sore from, but evidently they're sore. So you would want to do what you would want to do in China is to go to the Chinese apothecary down the street, which I don't know what his name would be, and pick up some salve made of frogs and rub it on your eyeball. So, good luck with that. So that's how you get this. You either eat a lizard or a snake or a reptile. You eat a reptile or some seafood, or you rub frog balm on your eye. You heard of tiger balm, right? No, it's frog balm. Yeah, they're definitely. I wonder if the frog balm makes your eye like all twitchy. You ever get a twitchy eye? I used to get a twitchy eye. I think it was mostly stress though. But does your eye twitch after the frog balm? Is my thing. Who knows? But the big deal with this worm was, since it was so rare, it has like 10 times as many. As much genetic material in it than any other tapeworm. So they took the chance to sequence this worm and map out the genome, sequence the creature's entire genome for the first time. The results of this research were published online on the 21st in the journal Genome Biology. So that's why it all came out. Like you wouldn't even have heard of the brain worm if it wasn't for the fact that they were busy breaking the news that, that they mapped out the genome. By comparing the genome to other tapeworms, we can see that certain gene families are expanded. These possibly underpin the worm's success in a large variety of host species. Oh, wonderful. Well, it won't be long. They'll be trying to weaponize it. That's my conspiracy. Yes, you have to rub frog testicles on your eyes so they will work better in China. Right. Wonder what Yakov Smirnov would say about that. In Soviet Russia, frog teabags you, I guess. Frog teabags your eyes. But yeah, we'll get a break here for a little bit, Joe. And you're listening to one of, if not the least successful shows on the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. And I say that with all sincerity. This show is absolutely terrible. There is no reason you would listen to it. And you should find another show as soon as possible. And that's what people with broken brains think. So, preface that, of course. Listening to The Mind Cemetery right here on uprntalkradio.com every Monday night, 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern. Take us away, Taliban Joe. You've been awfully sneaky and quiet back there. That scares me. I'm very afraid. Need to take something for my nerves.
If you are listening to the show and wish to join us in the chat room, visit paltalk.com. Go to the social issues, select other, and enter the UFO Paranormal Radio Network.
Welcome to the Mind Cemetery, where the paranoia about the paranormal comes to rest every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern, right here, exclusively on the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. Heard around the world online at uprntalkradio.com, on FM 107.7 New Orleans, as well as 105.9 in Pass Christian, Mississippi. As always, we will do our best to delve into the unexplained, weird, and sometimes creepy topics you won't hear in your local news. Like what you hear on the show? Then like the Mind Cemetery Facebook page and follow at Mind Cemetery on Twitter. If you want to check out the show on your time, download the Mind Cemetery off iTunes and at soundcloud.com/UPRN. For all of the UFO Paranormal Radio Network's shows, visit mindcemetery.net for info on upcoming guests, weird news, award-winning blogs, show archives, and of course, the ever-present UFO Stalker. Join the discussion live in the UFO Paranormal Radio Network chat room on Pal Talk, or call into the show at 1-504-273-7379. Welcome back for hour number 2. We're still on the air. The men in black haven't come to take me away or punch me in the penis. But thank you for coming out Monday night, 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern, right here on the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, uprntalkradio.com. You can check us out. You can listen to us on Live 365. Just search UFO Paranormal. Well, right about the time you punch in UFO, we come out on top. So that works out well. And you can come into the chat room on Pal Talk, UFO Paranormal Radio Network chat room. Like the show Facebook page, Mind Cemetery, real simple. Or if you're on Twitter, at Mind Cemetery, one word, bunch of E's, and some tweets between you, me, and some of my favorite listeners and followers on Twitter. Some of the best. There's some very good Twitter followings out there, by the way. Very active ones if you can get it. Jimmy Church has a fantastic Twitter following, by the way. So far, I've seen absolutely unmatched. That's for sure. Like Coast to Coast doesn't even have a chance. I haven't seen anybody work Twitter as well as Jimmy Church has in a long time. But he gets a lot of booze at night. He's on after me. Thank God. Thank Jesus. He'd be destroying me because I care so much about my numbers. But no. That's kind of something else that I'd like to digress on when it comes to caring about your numbers. It's not so much that. It's a matter of knowing if you're doing better at speaking words. It's a matter of finding out if the topics were even interesting to anybody, you know. So that's mainly how you do that. And the only people, just for the at-home players, the only people that can actually get an accurate number of how many people are listening are the ones that are actually on the server. So, and putting out the show live. So those people can only see on the back end. Anytime you'd like to let anyone in your back end, a little access, a little back end access, as Nicole likes to say. Anytime you'd like to provide any of that to back up any kind of gibberish going on about who listens to what, where, when, and how. Because a lot of things said otherwise that night. But anyway, I digress. As usual, I do it all the time. So there are some things going on in the world. Ferguson, Missouri, came down like a ton of bricks, and it come down for no indictment for Officer Darren Wilson. Will not face criminal charges in the shooting death, the grand jury has decided. Grand jury needed 9 out of 12 to decide yes, so they couldn't get 9 people out of the 12 to come back with a true bill, which is an indictment. So I am
most interested in seeing the evidence presented that the jurors had access to and what they got to see. Right? Because that's a little crazy. That's a little crazy right there. Shoot somebody in the street. Can't tell me there wasn't a video on a car somewhere that we could all see. But hopefully, we'll all get to see some evidence somewhere, sometime that will justify this. But the bigger story, of course, is the possibility of riots going on. So, I haven't heard of anything going on yet. I am checking out some Twitter action here. I have... Hello! I heard some crackly Taliban Joe going on. That's okay.
Oh, sorry, but
Russell Muffley is what I'll call him. It's the two sometimes. His other name will be Russell Muffley.
Sorry, producer lost control of the microphone there. Sorry, guys. I was being invaded by miniature chihuahuas attack.
I was about to say rabid dog
attack.
attack.
While I'm here, you seen they put out the Ferguson thing, huh?
Yeah, I was just reading that news. Are you watching it on Fixed News?
I was watching it on one of the either CNN or ABC or somebody. I don't know who it was. I gotta say it.
You ain't gotta pretend to be a centrist now. You're watching Fox.
Oh, I don't watch Fox, man. I gotta be honest with you. The only news media I usually watch is like BBC World. It's what's it called? One World USA. There's 3 or 4.
Yeah.
What I'll do is I usually watch BBC. I'll have see what BBC says World BBC, and then I'll stop over at World One News, and then if everybody's kind of on the same page, I'll say, well, I'll see what CNN and Fox has to say. Of course, CNN and Fox aren't that far apart anymore. Of course, now if you go Fox, CNN, or go to MSNBC, then it's entirely two different. It's like two different worlds. Now that the GOP took over, you'll see CNN start swinging more back to the right. Everybody forgets when Bush's first 6 years, CNN was kind of right. So I think they just kind of blow with the breeze. But you got MSNBC, which is definitely a liberal station, and you got Fox, which is definitely a conservative. But it shows you something. Fox has a 95% trust level. MSNBC has a 5% trust level, and there's so much.
What kills me about MSNBC and being so hard liberal is that they know that that's kind of a killer for them as a money-making opportunity. It makes more money to be conservative. Let's put it that way. You're going to make more money if you have a conservative news channel.
Probably so,
but
But liberals are making more money right now in general, though. I mean, because the stock market's booming under Obama. I mean, it's booming. So they're making money hand over fist.
Are you going with Michael Savage, red diaper doper babies getting rich?
Oh, no. You know who you got getting rich right now? You got the elitists getting rich right now. That's the only people getting rich because they're not spending any money. It doesn't matter. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, when I say elitists, it doesn't matter if they're liberal or conservative. Just still freaking snobby elitists. And they're the one holding on. And this ain't the 1% club. This is the 0.5% club. Right. These people are the ones making all the money right now. Obama definitely is pandering to them and not the rest of us, and that's just how it is.
Well, you have to. I get you have to really. You have to be beholden to the big person.
The biggest thing I think for people to that was going to be hard for all the parties right now is a role changing. Sorry about that. Hey, there's a role changing going on right now, where the Republicans were always known as the rich and snobby, no good party. That's fading out because now 8 out of the 10. Sorry, now shut up. 8 out of the 10 top districts belong to Democrats. So they're the ones with the control and the money, and they got the most money in Congress right now. So they're the party right now for the elite and the wealthy, whereas the GOP was under Reagan, the liberals are under Obama. Now, you can hate, but bottom line is they're both just as dirty. I mean, they both did the same damn thing. You can hate the GOP all day long, but when it comes right back to it, everything – this is what bothers me about these parties now. Everything that the liberals bitched about Bush, they turned around and did themselves, like, dropping $1.5 trillion to boost the economy, going and getting into 2 wars. These are all the things they criticized this guy about, and they went and did it themselves. I don't think they realize sometimes there just ain't no choice. Sometimes you just got to go down that road, regardless of what freaking party you are. If you're the president,
right.
you're stuck. You got to go down that road. And but
you're dancing with the girl that brought you.
I give Americans credit in this last election. They were a little bit educated. Don't mean they voted the way they should have, but I would have liked to have seen. I'm glad to see some of the Obama liberals go out from the. By the way, guys, if you're an ACA supporter, get off of it, because out of the 60 who voted, 30 are no longer in the Senate. And they said in 2016 another 15 are going. It's a lesson everybody should learn. Don't force things down the country's throat. Eventually it comes.
What's ACA? What's that? Oh.
Affordable Care Act. It's almost everybody they said by 2016, almost everybody who's voted for it will have been removed from the Congress. And the point being
then they can flip it.
But it's a hard lesson for both parties to learn. Don't shove something down the country's throat. Make it bipartisan, or the country will make you take it back. Eventually, everybody got mad because – and you know what? It's not that it was that bad of a law or that great a law, of anything in between, because I've been reading about it. It's not as horrible as everybody said it was. The problem is because they say you got to buy it. And if you don't buy it, we're going to take your income tax. That just pissed everybody off. 60% of the country just got pissed as soon as you said that, and you're never going to get that back. They just were like – and it didn't matter what he did after that point. They were just like, oh, no. You're not going to tell us, we the people who put you ass in the office, we're going to do that.
Well, do you have, besides your hot takes on healthcare, do you have any hot takes on Ferguson right now? What are they showing on TV? Is anybody getting silly?
I hadn't seen anybody getting stupid yet. I've seen a couple guys. They arrested a couple guys, but it didn't look like anything violent, more like tossing. I know one guy got arrested for tossing eggs. I'm thinking, come on, guy, just take that and release him down the street somewhere. Another guy was screaming profanities. They had him on camera jumping down. But so far, That's the best part of live reporting is like the random people that run behind the reporters and yell stuff. So far, though, for the outright verdict of just no, we're not doing anything, I got to say it's been pretty damn peaceful. Maybe they're going to be. I'm surprised. Maybe they're going to be more riots in the future down the line. But you know what? I was listening to Obama speak just before I came to harass you, and I got to give a man credit. He did. It was a solid speech. He didn't take any sides. He said law enforcement spoke. He said it was up to the grand jury, a verdict of his peers, and it's exactly what it was. And, the guy at the district attorney, he put it out pretty good, too. He said, all of these so-called witnesses that were on Facebook and coming forward, he said the problem is they said, he was shot in the back. Now, all three of the coroners said the same thing. There was no shots from the back at all. So right there, so all we heard from the press and all the people in the street, they threw him on the grass. Well, now we know none of that was true.
Well, I think if you're going to delay your release of your verdict until nighttime, which is silly, you should probably have everything planned so you could disseminate, case information, vital evidence to show this kind of stuff. If that's even allowed at this point. That's what I would do. I would have it all on blast, ready to go, so you can quickly disseminate information to these people out there on the streets, pissed off, wanting justice, and give them the explanation why. Now, that'll also get twisted to, the reason why to riot and all that kind of stuff later, but you're doing your job responsibly, handing out the information that convicted somebody, or that led to no true bill.
I think what's going to happen, and one of the reasons why they're going to have such a hard time rioting is that, one, there was blacks on the on the grand jury. So they can't say it wasn't of their peers because it was. So that would be a lie. Okay. But some of the witnesses that came forward were blacks from the neighborhood that actually seen what happened. They weren't making the shit up. The people who actually seen came forward. So what are you going to do? What are you going to say? Everybody in your neighborhood's lying? This protest is saying that their kinfolk, their friends in the neighborhood are lying. So it's a hard stance to take here. Because it wasn't white people that freed this guy. Let's be honest about this. This isn't a white neighborhood, so the majority of witnesses were black. So if you've got an overwhelming enough black witnesses to say, hey, this guy didn't do it, plus the physical evidence concurs with it, what are you going to do? And so you're just going to call everybody in your community a liar? Granted, I'm not going to say if their police force sucks or not because I don't live there. But
well, that's a good point you brought up, and hopefully they have redacted names and release things to the press for these witnesses, so you don't have them going back to their homes.
I got to be honest. A cop's name should never be released in a shooting until after the inquiry is done. Because, in this case, it would save this guy a lot of grief. it would have been a lot less stress, a lot less abuse. But still, he is a cop, and you never know when one of them some bitches are lying. Let's be honest about it. I've had a couple of lies, man. I've known a couple of no good ones. I've known some really good ones too, though. So in all fairness, but
I know some that like to twist twist rules around and play games.
There was a guy from I met him when I was 25. He was NOPD. He only would stop you if you looked like you were smoking pot, and he only wanted your pot. He'd let you go, by the way. He just wanted your pot. He didn't have to go buy any pot. He stopped us like 3 times, and of course I said, dude, we don't have no pot. I said, you stopped us earlier, remember? He said, man, you look at pothead. I'm telling you, want to search us again? We got no pot.
Right.
I was like, what a pothead. And he was, from what I heard, was on the force for like 20 years.
Of course.
Nowadays.
Those are the people that make it that way.
And now, New Orleans, New York, New Orleans, New York, Chicago, Miami, Dallas, Houston, L.A. There was 26 major cities have did away with drug testing for cops now. And wait.
Oh, really?
Felonies past 10 years, unless they're a violent felony. That's telling you how desperate it is to get cops in this country right now.
Well, they're ridiculously underpaid for one.
Well, they are ridiculously underpaid. Now, I got to say, down here in Kenner, it's weird how it works down here. NOPDs make nothing. They make like $17,900 to start or something, 18.
Woo! Get out of here!
I'm not shitting you, man. And
that's insane.
And they wonder why they're corrupt. Come on.
17.9. Yeah. Get out of here,
now,
dude.
They get a rate.
I know they're starting at like 38, 39 here in Raleigh.
They get a leap to like 22, 23 a year, maybe 2 years off the force. Now, Kenner, on the other hand, they start at 36.5 and are guaranteed as the rookie status goes through, and then 38, and then if everything goes good for 2 years after that, they'll bump them to 44. So they're doing okay. JPs make about between 37 and 44, depending on, the rookies start at about 25, 26, which you can move up fast. You just got to stay out of trouble. And, for some cops that's easy, some cops it's not. And of course, the faster you move up in the rank, the more money you make. But like in Mississippi, it's different because, see, first off, troopers down here, you got to have 2 years college to be a state trooper.
Yeah. Which I always, now that I look back on it, I think it's absolutely absurd that to be a law enforcement officer, you need any kind of university training, any kind of degree. It's absurd.
Well, I was talking to this one cop one day. He pulled me over in a roadblock, and we chit-chat and blah, blah, blah. And I said, is it true that troopers got to have at least 2 years college? He said, yeah. He said, what did he take? He said, you don't want to know. It was some, he told me, I forgot what it was, some stupid shit like history or something, but nothing that would pertain to being a cop. I don't mean it was stupid history, but I mean, for being a cop.
I took good classes. I took like a victimology class. I took an organized crime class. I took juvenile offender classes. I took... what was another one I had that I liked? Oh, there was a stats class that was ungodly hard. And this is like in the 90s when, there was terrible, There was no computer in front of me,
Yeah, I got lucky with a lot of things. Like a couple of the companies I worked for would put you through these special courses. Like it's where I learned my first 2 segments of voice was through it. It's also where I learned facial recognition, body language, and stuff like that. And it's not just that. There was a lot of I forgot the name for it, but it's when you're listening, you're keywording off and stuff. But it's all of this stuff came in really handy later in life. And then I took the PI course. And my stepfather, once he retired as captain of state police. He was a private investigator, so. And he was actually excellent at voice dress. I actually got to fine-tune my skills all the way across the line there, which was kind of nice. But really, I'm a contractor. What the hell I need all that for? Somebody asked me that day. He said, Joe, I heard you went and got your bachelor's in advanced avionics and electronics. I said, yeah. He said, why? You're not going to use it? I said, no, I just wanted to say I had a BA. I said I wanted to. What did I call it? I said a DSBA. I said, because really, what am I going to use it for unless I want to change careers midlife, which I guess I could do.
But no, you spoke to a good point there when you said, the company sent me to take classes. I believe that's kind of the same way these police forces should be. I mean, all the classes that I took at school, you could have taught a cadet. You could have taken them to a year's worth of training instead. In a classroom setting and boned up on all this stuff I got, or have it tailored to whatever state or county or city policies you have, and then away you go. Boom. Here you are, right along.
You know why the first company ever sent me to 2 different courses I was a training manager for them, so I decided I was going to take some tapes and review them, some 8-tracks. VHS, whatever you call them. And I went to about 10 of the...
You forgot already?
Yeah, I know. I went to about 10 different stores, pulled about 3 days' worth of tapes, found 47 employees stealing over 100 customers.
Jesus.
So I called my supervisor at that morning. I said, can we meet with the exec VP? I want to show him something about his stores. And he's like, oh, no. He said, Joe, what are you up to? I said, I'll tell you about it before we meet with him. And when I played this, they were like, Jesus. They went ballistic. And had been telling them for a year, screw the customers. That's not who gets you. When you got bad inventories in any type of store, it's because of your employees. Yeah. Either they're letting it go out on the door intentionally, or they're making a profit off of it. But and if it's big theft, it's generally the manager, assistant, because they're the ones that got the money. But man, I was catching them. They were doing like folding stuff and acting like they were putting it in safes and stuff. I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. And my boss is like, Joe, I've watched hundreds. I've never caught any. He said, I'm pretty sure I've watched some of these. And the VP looks at me, I'm like, really? And he said, did you? Because there was a bunch of them I showed him. And they're like, I don't see anything. I said, wait, I don't see anything. And I would go back and pause it and stop. And they're like, oh, shit. And then the bitch part is I'm watching it at high speed and catching it. And they're like, what the hell?
Well, it's like a card trick, anytime you see Penn and Teller do a card trick or anything like that, or 3-card Monty or anything, you're watching as hard as you can and you still can't see it. Well, that's because they're professionals, they're used to it. And then, to Joe Blow the Ragman, they can't see it, but you've seen it a ton, and there it is. You wait for the tell.
I learned I had that skill when I was in the Navy. They had me, I was sorting planes for them, some old stuff versus some new stuff. And the guy said, it's going to take you for days and days because you got to go read one page one time. So then I learned that if I would just flip through them, for some reason I could see them better. It registered in my head faster. So I'd go through and stop, go through, stop. And it took me about 2 days, but they gave me like 4 weeks to do it. I got to tell you what I went and did because I can't say it's on radio.
It's confidential material right
anyway,
there.
I'll just say I had some fun.
Restricted.
I was in San Diego. I had a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, I actually was out there for the summer, and it was great. In San Diego, one of the best summers of my life. Damn it!
Nice town, man. I gotta say, it's a lot of
fun. I was like 23. Get out of here, I was a wrecking machine. But anyway, Kathleen Schmidt here, I see on Twitter, and I don't know who that is. Just at BookGirl96 is posting pictures of people gathering in Times Square. Shutting down that intersection. People gathering in Chicago is being reported by the Chicago Tribune on Twitter. Let's see, tear gas being shot.
People
in Ferguson.
All my Facebook friends and MySpace and Google and every other Twitter and everything else that's out there.
MySpace.
MySpace is kicking these days, man. It's been making it
coming back with the old folks.
It's come back with the millennials. That's who's bringing it back.
Those bastards.
Yeah, I got like 40,000 fans over there, but no, because it's music now. That's all it is. It's just like a giant music server. But anyway, y'all got to be careful here because this is the 4th time in 2 years that social media, they're calling it, tried to sway a popular opinion and change a verdict outcome from to get. Now remember, the press has been pushing for this, and social media has been pushing for this cop to get charged and go to jail. This cop is obviously innocent. Right. So if we would have gave way to this, we would have put an innocent man in jail. So we didn't. And what's going to happen is I've already heard.
No. The only thing that would have happened, we're not putting an innocent man in jail. We're putting an innocent man on trial, and we're going to see the evidence because of the trial. That's the only thing that was going to come back with the true bill. When no one was going to jail or the chair or anything
we're not
like that.
Talking about, you forget about Zimmerman and the guy from California.
No, I knew he was number 2 for you.
Well, actually, that Mark Weston guy out in California is number 2. He was...
Is that the cop killer that ran off in the woods and all that, or ex-cop and all that?
The one that got off that surprised me. There was 2 that happened. One went to jail, one didn't. Both of them shot a young black guy. Well, one shot a young black woman coming up to his house in the middle of the night. One shot a young black guy coming up to his house at night. Which one do you think got off? Which one do you think went to jail? They were both cops, by the way. And neither one of these were trying to actually break into his house. They just thought they were. There was no evidence that anybody was breaking in. The cops overreacted is what the people said. The guy who shot the girl actually got off. Don't know why. The guy went to jail. The guy who shot the guy actually got off. I have no idea if the cases were almost identical. And one went to jail, one didn't. That just tells you there's something really screwy with this country, man. When you shoot somebody for knocking on your front door, I think you should go to jail. I'm just going to...
Oh, that guy in Detroit. Was that in Detroit?
Well, there was two of them.
The girl got in an accident and came to his front door.
Yeah, there was that one, and then there was the one...
He's all blast you in the face with a shotgun.
Yep, and then there was the one...
Black woman that I'm scared of at 3 a.m. Just so stupid.
You just got to wonder about some of this stuff, man. And if you're that paranoid, you need to move to a different neighborhood or something. Come on.
No. That was an excuse to shoot somebody in the
funny.
face.
It's funny.
Ridiculous.
We were somewhere one night in New Orleans East, and I got a flat tire. I told my wife, I said, here's a 9mm. I said, anybody who walks up behind us or from any direction, don't even ask. I said, just shoot them. She's like, I said, I don't care if they come walking from any direction, you just shoot them. I said, because one, where we're at, there ain't nobody coming to help us. Just know that ahead of time. And two, if they walking around this far in this neighborhood, they definitely up to no good. I said, especially if they walking alone. I said,
right.
They definitely up to no good. I said, just shoot them. I said, and she said something. I said, they ain't gonna put no white lady in jail for shooting a big old black guy. Trust me, we in Louisiana. They'd be like, he's coming to get her. You don't even have to worry about this shit. It's messed up town. It's a funny place to live though, because we got like our non-racial area, and then we got the suburbs.
I actually saw a show, Anthony Bourdain layover show that they did in New Orleans, and we were watching it. And he goes to a lot of places that are off the beaten path, basically.
Best place to have fun.
Eat and drink and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, there was roadside shacks kind of places, and I was going to ask you too. Go ahead.
Oh no,
you give me some New Orleans loving.
I know. When you said that, it got me to think about. He went to a little. It used to be called Live Bait. It's a little restaurant up on the River Road, up against the Mississippi River, and they serve everything in there, man. I mean, they serve all the local favorites like turtle soup and rabbit and all kind of gumbos and a couple other local favorites.
Yes,
like.
They do rabbit in Louisiana?
Oh God, yeah, man, and all kind of.
I love me some rabbit, so damn much.
They down here delicious. You can actually buy it in the stores. It's not it's not a big deal. You can find it in most of your local groceries and stuff like that. See, because we live in the big city, but since we're completely surrounded by swamp and woods all the way around, we still have the Wild Wild West effect along with the city, so it works out quite well. And then the abundance of seafood and stuff, so you can always eat well. And everything down here these days is pretty much served with, something really good and seafood, and something and seafood, and something and seafood, and some more seafood, man. Got to be a seafood eater, I guess, here.
Sure. It's all over the place. You might as well be. I was going to ask you, I don't know if you talked about it, or I was going to talk about the Tom Carey announcement at the American University that he has slides of a alien from Roswell undergoing a autopsy, and what you thought of that, or if you talked about that.
I haven't seen those. I've heard of other people with slides and stuff. Matter of fact, I was in Roswell, and this guy brought me in some. He did a good job. I got to give him credit to. He brought me in some of these. I forgot what they were. They're little negatives. They're little square negatives that you put into a lens to look at. They were definitely period. They were from that period. So what you would do, I remember because my dad, when he used to go on trips before I was born, when they would come back, he had this little thing. You put the slides in, you push the button, the light would come on, and then you could see everything. And so it was definitely the right period. I'm looking at the stuff, and I'm like, damn, man, you might have something here. And really, at first, I thought he did. And then I noticed in the background, burst out a little piece of a golden archer. Just a little piece of one. I said, dude, Mickey D's been around a long time, but ain't been around that long. And I was like, he's like, and I was like, no, you busted. And I'm sorry. You busted. And I said, if you go slice it out and try to give them to somebody else, I got this one. I said, just don't even. But it was really, really good. I mean, he did really good. He had the hairstyles right, all the old trucks and all. I guess they just had the camera angle just, what it got me is they didn't catch it. And it was funny as hell. And then when I posted it, nobody caught it at first, and then I put it on the iCar site, and I started getting people, is that a McDonald's sign? Did he stop at a McDonald's? What the hell's going on? And so maybe some time traveling ETs,
Time travel.
Some time traveling ETs. Coming back from the mission. Hey, you don't know the Grays may like some Happy Meals, man.
It's true.
Can't ask for no better press than that, Uncle Ronald McDonald.
They might have to drink it, though,
I tell you what,
right?
dude, I was managing at McDonald's on the beach when I was 28 years old. They pay good money, by the way, if you're a GM. And
sure,
it was so funny. Somebody stole the Ronald McDonald. We had one of those. We had an old.
You had one sitting out front.
Well,
or
we had
something?
one of them old school playgrounds set up for the kids before they went with all this indoor stuff, and in the middle of it was about a 6 foot, maybe 7 foot tall Ronald McDonald statue. And we come in one morning and it was gone. So my supervisor called the local media just to tell them, if anybody to keep an eye on. Them son of a bitches sent somebody to my store. They did a whole spot on who stole Ronald McDonald. And guess who had to do it? I was like, come on, man. They found him, though. One of the girls who worked for us, boyfriend stole it and threw it in the car when they were leaving to go to their Navy job in Diego, by the way.
Nice.
They had to pay to ship it back. It was like $10,000.
Take it and run. But yeah, they're sitting there talking about how he got them from a lawyer, I guess. A female lawyer in Texas gave him the slides and all this shenanigans. But evidently, the UFO Trail blogger there, Jack Brewer, had tried to get in contact with Kerry and all that shenanigans, but he was running with a story, to get a hold of those slides and say, what are you doing with them, right? To follow up with his claims that he had those at the American Universities Conference, and of course Leslie Kean's there, and Charles Holt's there, and Haynes is there, and I can't remember anybody else beyond that off the top of my head, but yeah, so he came out with that claim and then hijacked the whole damn thing, and of course it killed everybody's notion of we're actually going to bring this to a responsible place to have a responsible conversation with responsible people, and then I'm going to watch Tom Carey crash the plane into the mountain. He starts out his story talking about how there was a hacking involving Tony Braglia, Rich Reynolds, Nick Redfern, and this Ross character who he's talking with about a 3-letter agency hacked us as they were talking about this stuff. But it just insanity that it brings to the entire story. Like it already had a layer, it was already stupid. And then here comes the story of a hacking with another layer of stupid spread right on top. And then here comes Carrie, absolutely not responding to anything from the November 14th or the 18th that was emailed to him from Jack Brewer asking him to comment on this, when's he going to give a demonstration and, with the slides, and when's he going to produce those and all that kind of stuff. So,
well, I got a new thing now. Anytime anybody tells me they're hacked, I know they're lying right off the bat.
Right.
Well, because the
right.
government doesn't have to hack you anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, just so you don't know, I mean, I know y'all forgot already this fast, but Google and Yahoo and everybody, well, Yahoo was forced to. Google, just the cheesy bastards that they are, just turned everything over.
Yeah.
But Yahoo,
just looking to gain the favor of the empire.
Yeah,
that's
Yahoo,
all.
On the other hand, got the favor of the people because they told the government to take where. But anyway, regardless, they got it. So the way it works now, ladies and gentlemen, is they have complete access to all your cell phones. The only thing they still have a hard time with is what they call a hardline phone for y'all new folks. I know y'all know what a hardline phone is, but hardline phones, they still got to actually do a physical tap on inside the box. But other than that, everything else, and really, if it's even a modern station for a hardline phone, they can still tap it from inside.
How about internet phones? How easy is that to tap
that's not even a tap.
Right?
See, that's what I was going to say. Anything that crosses the airways or crosses the internet is filtered. It goes through what do they call it now? Green Lantern, I think is the new one. Everything goes through it. It keyword searches every piece of text, every piece of audio that goes on any phone or any computer is actually keyword searched. Has been, God, I don't know, more than a decade now. We broke this with iCar. I think it was in 98, I believe it was. 99. But the thing about it is, this is old school. They've been doing this a long, long time. Now, they're not supposed to look, okay? This is what got Snowden in trouble. He actually went to the archive thing where we got all this shit just stacked up, and he just went in there and took some and hauled ass with it. The point being is that stuff's not supposed to exist. If you, in other words, like Chip and I talking all night tonight, if they don't find anything wrong with the conversation, even if we trip a keywords and it does get filtered and they look at it, but still they don't find anything, they're supposed to go ahead and destroy it. But that's not what they've been doing. They've been keeping it
Why would you
in
do
case
that?
they can use it against your ass down the line.
Right.
So that's completely and utterly illegal. Now, we busted them doing this, people. We busted them. Because of Snowden, we busted them. And guess what? They're still doing it. They're not stopping it. They're still doing it. They're like, you know what?
Not one
Didn't even slow them down.
care to give what
Didn't
we
even
say.
slow them down. I mean, they're just like, well, you know what?
Executive order, national security, not your
pretty
concern.
much.
Keep moving this way. Here's Tom
what
with
did
the
that guy
weather.
tell me, the FBI agent tell me that day? He said, well, if you ain't breaking the law, you ain't got nothing to worry about. I said, yeah. And I said, what country do you live in?
Same one being surveillance as him. That's who.
Anytime somebody feels a need to surveil you for no reason, I think that's Russia, China.
Right.
Not the great old USA. Who knows?
So there was a huge debate on UFO updates about this, and everybody going back and forth about the actual, the timing of all this, and him coming out on it. I know that Ryan Sprague, somewhereintheskies.com, you can check out his article there and how he talked about how it was basically just deflated any notion of it being a reasonable conversation, and how Leslie Keane put out there that she wasn't a part of any of that kind of stuff and didn't know that was even coming. So, it's a hell of a blindside for everybody to have Tom Carey come out and do that. And Grant Cameron was on here on this thread, instantly commenting of why Robert Schaefer doesn't go after Michael Shermer. How come Collins doesn't go after Shermer? How come Sprague doesn't go after Shermer? All this kind of stuff. And I know these guys are skeptics, but they're not just debunking anything. It just seems like some of these skeptics are doing better research is all. And he Grant, and I've had him on the show before a couple times actually. Grant Cameron comes out and says, this is plays the, this is the. Well, I said, what the hell are we arguing about here? Because basically the bottom line is, just release the slides is what I put on there, and let us know how much it costs to get access to them. Let's just cut to the chase here, Tom. What do you want for the slides? For anyone to be able to examine them in any way, shape, or form, right? Is that what it comes down to, Jeff or Joe?
That's pretty much what it is. Give me the money, and I'll give you the slides.
Yeah. Right. So I said, first of all this is a moot point until we hear the price point or the goal.
Or he ran into an asshole like me and said, you know what, dude, you better not put them out. That looks kind of fake.
And it's like, well, here's my thing with ufology, and this is what's great about the stupidity of it, is that they, same thing with Bassett, and a perfect example again with him is, he'd rather put his stuff into a tweet storm and all this kind of stupidity where, he didn't even realize that, the Twitter base and community for this is really kind of weak and needs to be groomed or grown, right, to begin with. So he would be much better served with a PR campaign promoting himself and the whole disclosure thing. So instead of wasting money copying DVDs and putting them in everyone's office and hanging out in D.C. and bothering people, you need to get people behind you. You need to get a voice first, and then you could be presentable to these people and have another, hearing and get it on and keep pressing it every year and push the machine. But instead, he's doing these half-assed Twitter storm fest and these half-assed attempts, and it kills me. It's like when, and then, Grant in here also says, this discussion illustrates why we are in the dark and will probably remain for some time to come, because it, obviously degenerated, because I was like, this is stupid. We're talking, let's get down to the brass tacks about the money. And then I put it on the side. I have to say, just please stop playing the "this is why we're in the dark" card. Because everybody sits and blames skeptics for all the problems, and all they want is something tangible that they can hold on to and hold up high and say, here is our evidence, our proof, our documentation, our, here it is that can be peer reviewed and it will be supported. Here is our holy grail, and it doesn't exist. And as soon as that pops down out of the sky, you're going to start seeing a different story. And that's the same thing I told him, because until that happens, we're all going to stay in the dark, okay? Until that holy grail comes down, all right? Until the tablet comes off the mountaintop, we're all going to stay in the dark, don't you think?
I do, actually. I think we're going to stay in the dark for a long time, man.
So, and another thing with the whole disclosure thing, I hate, it's part of the programmed mentality of a lot of the supporters of Greer and Bassett to sit and keep pushing that they're so selfless and they're doing this noble cause and all this kind of stuff. It's very low-level hype and propaganda that's used on these people, and I've run into multiple Greer people that have come at me the same way. Eventually, all roads lead back to the same diatribe. It leads, the brainwashing comes in, and it's understandable because that's their identity now, and God knows they aren't real people, so they have to latch on to something crazy. But that seems to be the case. But yeah, it just with the slides and all that, do I hope it's true? I'd like to see the whole thing.
Yeah.
Damn it, just show me the slides.
Like when I remember when Stan Romanek came out with his thing in the window, and I was like, well, I'd like to see it. I kept seeing the artist remnants that were on the internet. They were really good. I'm like, well, if that's what it is, damn, he got something good. So I ran into Jeff Peckman at one of the conferences. I think it was I was doing a coast to coast interview in DC, and I ran into him, and he's like, he said, I'm the one handling all the stuff in Colorado. I'm the one that's getting the initiative going. I'm the one that's pushing Stan's stuff. I said, oh, really? I didn't know that. And he said, yeah. He said, would you like to see the clip? And I said, really? He's like, yeah. So he flips it up his laptop, and we right there, and I think we went in the Miami airport actually. And I'm flying in because he was in Florida and I was coming home to New Orleans. And he popped it up and I looked at it and he said, what do you think? I said, just leave the one that's on the internet there. And he's like, really? I'm like, dude. I said, I got to be honest with you. I said, because I like you. I said, I'm thinking maybe a puppet or maybe something worse. I said, but that's up to y'all. He's like, how can you be so sure? I said, because I deal with a lot of contactees, and none of them describe the alien looking like that.
Oh, you know what? What's great is that I know Jeff Ritzman signed something saying he won't disclose his opinion or anything like that on it. Isn't there something like that out there? There is. And he's what he's doing. He's being a good guy. He's just taking high ground. Because, when he was pushing it was all fine. Now that this other stuff's going on with Stan, I think he's just wanting to get away from it. Oh, big boy, please don't tell me about listeners when you got 1,759 Facebook likes on your personal page. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Is he talking
no.
To
somebody, while we were talking, somebody asked me, somebody wrote in and he said, well, I thought they said they were so popular over there. He's like, how come he's only got 1,700 fans and you got 50,897? I said, dude, don't ask me. I said, leave me alone.
How that works,
and somebody said, who was it that day? He said, well, you've got like foreigners on your thing. I'm like, yeah. I said, because my station goes out to 160 countries. I said, did you ever stop to think that's why we got such a big damn audience? God, people are so dumb.
Well, and of course, and also there's been a report done and a study done saying that a majority of your follows anyway are going to be from another country, even the ones you pay Facebook when you do advertising through Facebook to get. So there's a lot of active overseas accounts that magically like your page, whether you like it or not. All of them have it.
But that's the thing, though. Facebook's got a filter for that.
Well, they do, but they don't, and it's
Well, no,
ridiculous.
they're pretty strict on it these days. I know. I'm not going to mention his name from another radio network, actually from a daily decent sized network. He said he was spending. Well, he's got a couple of million likes on his page. He told me he bought about 1.5 million of these likes. He said he spent. I'm going to tell you what he told me he spent, but he spent a lot of money, and a lot of money, and it was quite popular. And he said one day he came in, and 1.2 million were just gone. Now, the other day, somebody told me this. We had a bunch of people write to me on Facebook the other day and said they had 1,000 fans go, or 2,000 fans go, or 500-600 friends disappear. The most I got 9 Facebook pages, ladies and gentlemen. The most I had disappear on any one page was 25 people. I had none on my fan pages, none disappear at all.
Well, that big crackdown was when they reestablished also who was able to see your posts and all that kind of stuff. That's when they redid the algorithm, and likes become much more important to be able to spread your post to other people. Like there's a certain base that it only gets to, and if that base is populated with a bunch of people that are inactive or from another country, then it really kills your ability to grow and all this
somebody, I think it was from Inception or somebody, one of them told me one time, well, you're buying likes. I said, here, I'll send you something. I did a quick search on the internet, and I said, let's see, they want $250 for like 25,000 likes. I'm like, I'm sorry, 2,500 likes.
That was the sick monkey, wasn't it? The sick monkey was asking.
It was. Yeah. I know for something like 100,000 likes, it was something like 8 G's or something. And I'm like, really? I'm like, 8 G's. I said, for 8 G's, I go buy some real advertising. What the hell's wrong with you people? And
8G. If I had $8,000, I'll just go invest it. Goodbye. I don't need this. I'll just go buy
I do a lot of advertisement with Google. Google gives me a lot of free advertisement. And what's funny is we get a lot of donations in Google and Yahoo advertisement, which is weird. Now, and you can see the difference when we do them. You'll notice the archive numbers will double and triple sometimes, and even everybody's local audiences will go up some. Matter of fact, we got some starting right after December. I think we got a couple of $1,000 in ads will be running. And
there you go.
And it features them, it brings everybody back, and we got to make up for losing the GoDaddy site. Now, it's going to take 2 years to make up from that site. I talked to an attorney about this the other day because I really thought about suing GoDaddy. I said, man, you're letting all my competition get a break and catch up a little bit. I said, we've been stomping them on the neck for years. I said, and he's looking into it. He's checking into the radio law. He really thinks like a lawsuit. He said they should have never done it the way they did it. He said, it should have been given time. They should have been able to research all your links and bring them back to you. He said they should have never shut all that down without doing that. So he's looking into it.
Hey, we got a question in the chat room here towards the end of the show. You doing a show Wednesday, or are you cutting it loose?
I'll probably be on Wednesday.
Well, there you go. You staying home for Thanksgiving?
Well, I'm home, but I'll just be the other host. It's no, because I'm not going to be doing nothing Wednesday night. I'll just be hanging around, eating or something. Yeah. So I'll probably get on, talk for a while, I'll probably just do some BS. Nothing.
Wednesday night, a lot of drunks will be on the road. Big drinking night.
It won't be any. On the coast, these son of a bitches. Rednecks believe in road blocking like you wouldn't believe, man. And right where the house is, they roadblock. There's a bridge that crosses. They roadblock on each side of it. Two different counties, by the way. So so it's 2 different sets of troopers.
Classic.
You're kind of like, really. Yeah, and during certain holidays, they roadblock. They won't let them roadblock the interstate, so they roadblock the exits. So when you get off, there's 5 million state troopers. You're like, wow, nothing but blue lights. Yeah, especially like, 1 in the morning or something. You're like, really? Come on. They flashing lights all up in your eyes and shit. You want to be like,
right.
Yeah.
Doing their job.
Get your ass back.
Hassling the man. Hassling Russell Muffley and his beautiful maid of hair.
I always ask him, you like being out there this time of the morning? I sure the hell don't. Leave me alone.
So I found finally Romanek's court date has been reassigned to December 1st at 8:30 a.m. in district court, and it is going to be a competency to proceed hearing.
We knew that.
So
that's
it sounds like he got his 2 evaluations
I said this a while
done.
back. I'm sure it's going to tick off a lot of people. But we had said this with the flipping the pen and a couple of things he did that we thought he was just trying to get it where people would question if he was crazy or not. And there was a couple of things he said right after that sounded really, really crazy. I think he's going for the nutcase thing.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was saying a while back. It's the best case scenario for him is to play the nutcase. You know, you get innocent by insanity. It's great. It's a great outcome for him. It's a great way to get out from under it. It destroys his UFO credibility, and away he goes. You know, that's the worst part for him is that it just destroys his UFO credibility. So now, what are they going to do for their scam? That's what really boggles my mind is just it's like a self-destruct button they hit instead of getting well, I guess they're not instant, so you might as well self-destruct. There's only a few paths to go down.
I'm a little confused by all this anyway. I mean, if you're legitimately a UFO person, okay, why would you put anything on your computer? Really? I mean, we all know. See, that's one of the things when I first heard this, I was kind of maybe he isn't lying because, we all know anybody who talks this shit. We know our computers get scanned all the time. So why would you actually put porn of any kind, like especially kiddie porn, on a computer that you first off has access to the internet, and secondly, you're pissing off the government on a regular basis. So why would you even risk it? That itself might warrant a competency hearing. I mean, I just got to kind of...
Oh, yeah, I can tell you right now the defense probably said all that and said, let's get a couple opinions. Because they had to take him to, the state hospital, evidently, in Pueblo, Colorado, he had to go to.
Well, I don't know what the laws are out there, but it's a federal crime, so it's probably the same. I know a guy down here got caught with, I knew this guy, too. I was surprised. When we found this out. Well, actually, one of the girls at work called me and said, "Did you see who was in the paper this morning?" And I was like, "Wow, he got caught with, I think it was 30 or 40 files that had 20,000 pictures of kids on them, and from just having sex to in harsh slave type positions and shit." And first off, to think that there's that many photos of children out there is enough to want me to just go hog shit wild with a machine gun somewhere. But on top of that, when it all got said and done, he got 8 years, and he had to do 6 years and 9 months, I believe it was.
Was this stuff he was producing?
No, just had it on his computer. This is what he got in trouble for. You see, this is what's strange about this law is. If you have kiddie porn on your computer, you're in trouble. If you have kiddie porn on your computer that you bought, you're in big trouble. So that's the difference. And the judge even told me, he said if it would have been something you had downloaded or somebody had given you, he said you'd probably be looking at 3 or 4 years. He said the fact that you use your own credit card to buy it and you're supporting these sick bastards, bam. And that's what he gave him. So, unless there's something much, much different about Stans, or if he was the one putting it out there, I mean, he's probably looking at about 8 years, probably going to be out in 6.
Did he get any kind of lifetime monitoring? You know that much about the case?
I'm pretty sure it's lifetime. I know he can't be on a computer unless it's at work, and it has to be work-related.
Yeah.
No smartphones of any kind. Pretty much can't be around any children areas at all. And, of course, the usual, you have to tell everybody that, you're a pedophile, and
it's 1,000 feet. Well, you can't be within 1,000 foot of even any business that's primary customer is a child.
That's one of the
basically.
things. In the building where he used to work, there are psychiatrists that see children, so that was pretty much the end of it. You weren't coming back there. They don't even like him being in the building, and he still comes and walks around the building all the time. I'm thinking, dude, you ain't learned nothing. Because I got to be honest with you. I've heard him ask about computers, and I'm thinking to myself going, I just did 8 years in the Fed pen or 7 years in a Fed pen. I wouldn't be wanting to look at a computer. But I guess, but that's the problem.
Oh, these guys They're sick. And, when I was investigating cases, it's, cases like that when it's adult and we're talking kids, and that's the worst kind of sickness right there. That's, they'll always go back to it. And, and it's terrible to think that, you separate them into two different classes based on basically the age of their prey.
That's true.
The predator's prey, but that's the way it is. You'll have people. I mean, I look at people that, that attack adults differently than ones that attack children. Sorry, I just look at it a little differently. There's a different scale for you, and we all know. Well, I don't want to say we all know, but it was definitely something that we came to learn, that the younger their offender that they liked, the crazier, the worse the disorder was for them, and the least likelihood that they could fix it or stop it or control it or any of that kind of stuff. And they were usually lifetime monitor people that, we all shot to make that happen, in hearings that we'd have to show up to.
That's what you got to do.
And discuss the evaluations on them. So that was one of the more rewarding parts of the
now.
job.
He says castrate them. It's a new law. It's actually a law.
Well, that's good there, but the way they treat homosexuals is terrible. So you got to take his laws with a grain of salt, I guess.
It was so funny because when the U.S. on the British TV they said it one way, when they said it in the U.S. they said it different. So I'm watching BBC World, right?
Sure.
And they're talking about Putin gets new bill pushed through. Child molesters, rapists, and gay men can be castrated for committing crimes against nature. Now, the only thing we heard in the United States was about pedophiles. We didn't hear anything else. But that's what the actual law was. So I'm thinking, man, and he's not playing with this. He's like,
I'm glad I prefaced it with, well, they certainly, that seems like a great idea.
Yeah,
but
you see,
treat their homosexuals
I
like
think the EU
hell.
and the Brits got it. Yes. Yeah.
It applies to this,
I really
too.
think the EU and the Brits are the ones that we need to watch, because somebody asked me, he said, well, people forget sometimes that England and France and Rome and all are 2,000 years old cities. They've been dealing with this shit a much longer time than we have been, and they do have a different understanding. I didn't realize this. A friend of mine who's an attorney or whatever they call him in England told me, he said, oh, no, Joe. He said, sex crimes are treated much differently in England. He said, we don't first off go putting everybody in jail for them. I'm like, why? He said, because we don't consider them a crime. We consider them a sickness or a disease. He said, we know in prison you're not going to get help. You're just going to come out the same sick bastard that you were when we put you in there. So what they do is, depending on the nature of the crime, first thing they do is they put you in this form of treatment, but they give you, I forgot what it's called, anyway, they give you a drug that takes any sexual desire away whatsoever. Just wipes it out.
So it's like
in a way, but it's apparently
minus the
apparently it's reversible. Or the way it was explained was like it would be tapered up, but then some people have to be on it for life. But like he said, we would rather give them this monthly shot than have to spend X amount of pounds a month on them in prison. And plus, their repeat offender rate is only 18%. Ours is 82%. Right. So apparently, and they said not just that. He said about a third of the crimes that happen in the U.S. they consider to be diseases and problems. And in all of those crimes versus ours, they have better repeat offender rates than we do. So apparently, they have realized something that we haven't. That some things are bad.
Well, I didn't even realize that drug had a capability to make that happen, and it reduced recidivism that much because, I'm sure the U.S. has a lot of, USDA and.
Well, it's why we know. It's why Peyton Manning went to England.
Food drug studies.
To get his shoulder fixed because they got the good shit.
Yeah, and Kobe went over. Yeah. They go get stem cell treatment over there. That's what they do.
Well, it's not just that. They're in a lot of medicines, they're more advanced than we are. Not so much in cancer treatments and stuff, but in a lot of other things they're more advanced because of our moral center says you can kill babies, but you can't use the stem cells from the babies. I'm confused about that one, but I'm gonna leave it go. Yeah. Over there, of course, it's different. Yes, you can use the stem cells from the baby. I understand they don't want to do it because then it becomes a market to push people to have abortions. I do truly understand that.
Right.
But for me, if you're going to murder the little kid anyway, let at least something come out of its life. Come on.
Right. I'm in the same boat
So I
with you
say
on
they
that.
can't. I say
only
they can't
makes
be
sense.
sold. A law has to be passed to where that the government can collect them and dole them out to the hospitals,
Right.
that need to have them. I don't know what else to do. I mean, of course, every time I say that on air,
Right.
somebody writes to me, "You sick, murderous bastard."
Well, hey, listen. If something so terrible is going to be legal and people are going to do it, then you might as
That's
well
what
get
I'm
something
saying.
out of it, for
And
God's sakes. Why be a
it
complete loss
advances
here?
science so
God.
much that it's not even funny.
You know?
We're learning so much from stem cells that it's literally not funny. And there's a lot of other
Right.
advantages to this, not including the almost ability to stop aging, which I'm not know if that's a good one or a bad one, but we'll never see it. We, the poor people, won't see that for a couple of 100 years, but we, the rich people, might see it. Which, by the way, I'm not one of the rich people. I'm just one of the poor people. But I'd like to see it. Hey, add 50, 60, 100 years to your life. Uploading, downloading bodies. I did hear this, and I thought this was interesting.
Nice.
I know we got to get out of here, but I thought this was an interesting concept.
Right.
Gentleman wrote about, he had heard me talking about the uploading, downloading consciousness in the bodies, and he wrote this story to me about, I called it Utopia something or another. And he said, he was taking the premise of what we were talking about. He said, but, he said, after a certain amount of time, we wouldn't need to have children ever again. He said, because the souls of the bodies of us would just simply be recycled through new bodies. He said, at some point, he said you could only be allowed to have children if someone couldn't be recovered, like if they died and there was no way to save them. He said, and then you would be allowed for a new child to be born. He said, but other than that, you wouldn't need him because, you when the old body died out, you would just consciously we've downloaded a new one. So why have a child? And so that starts letting people build up, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 50,000 years of knowledge. That's dangerous individuals there.
You're nuts. Yeah. Oh my
you see
God.
humans who, I
It'd
know.
be incredibly dangerous.
I know.
You'd have to be ultra rich to be
you have
like
to be
that.
ultra something or another. Well, imagine you've been around that long.
Basically.
I
Joe
looked
Blow
at it
couldn't
like
do
this
that.
when he said that. He said, you know what I'd do? I said, I'd go out and find everything I thought was collectible, lock it in the freaking vault somewhere 10,000 years later, come back and give you a multimillionaire.
Yeah. Hey, wait, if you're downloading Who I Am, can you just take that USB in my pocket and download me and then just bring me back in the future or something crazy later on? Give me a new body. Just take your time.
You know what? You would see people doing stuff like that. Put me in the computer and let me take it easy for 2 centuries, 5 centuries, 1,000 years. And then you come back, you upload a new body into a whole new world. You're like, but you know what? People, you got to watch that because the new people might not want you crazy old people hanging out with them. They may have had some bad experiences with some of y'all.
Oh, hilarious. Back on this Ferguson thing real quick. This I see a picture of Darren Wilson released. Fox News claims Darren Wilson was badly beaten before executing Mike Brown. And this is on Michael Brown. This is on Fox News here, Twitter, and it's a picture of Mike Brown at the hospital getting examined after the post-shooting, debriefing and everything, and he doesn't have a scratch on him.
The original photo I seen of him, he had a gouge out of his face and a bloody nose. That was before he cleaned up. I didn't see anything that I would consider life-threatening injuries, but you know what?
Here we go.
When you punch a cop in the face, you can pretty much bet your ass is going to get shot. That's just crazy. I don't know why you ever.
Oh, they've got side view profile, his right profile. He's got a red mark, like dead center, in his cheek, maybe an inch.
Yeah, I don't know why they ain't showing them ones with the blood. I was looking at these right here.
Yeah, they start putting them out there on Twitter. So if you're out there on Twitter, you can start to see. And even like when you pull back, it just looks like a rosy cheek.
And I'm confused about Cosby. I've been listening to the media talking about his co-star came out and said he did this, that, and the other thing. And she keeps, every time I hear her on TV, she said, I never said that. I'm like, so I'm just confused about that whole thing. And then every time I hear somebody else like Rosie the other day, there's 16 accusers, but you can only find 3. I'm like, what the hell? This is what's really bad about the Internet today.
There's a mark on the back of his neck, like by the baseline of his hairline, like a little redness again on his cheek. And that's it, folks. That is the look of a man who was horrendously accosted and felt like his life was in jeopardy. That's basically
Oh yeah.
what you have to tell.
I mean,
rule
one,
that's
ladies
basically
and
what the
gentlemen,
story
rule
is.
number one for all you young millennials out there: don't ever stick your hand inside of a cop's car, grab him by the shirt, and punch him in the face because he's going to shoot you. Okay?
Well, this is the right side of his
He's going
face.
to shoot you. Yeah, which he was in the car. All the witnesses got him in the car, so the guy definitely attacked him while he was in the car, which just anyway it goes puts him in the wrong.
Crazy. Yeah, and I don't know why we haven't seen a video or anything like that.
There was the original one I seen. There was one CNN had carried where he had some blood on his face and blood around his nose. Wasn't a lot, mind you, but it was blood. But that was it. And there was a couple other shots where they had blood, but for some reason, maybe they cleaned them up for the grand jury. I don't know. I'm more interested in the witnesses that came up because I already know what the autopsy said. It said that there was blood splattered all over the car and all over the cop, which means it was a close range, up close and personal shooting is what it was. You know, he was probably sitting in the car, leaning back, pulling a gun out, just probably reached up and shot the guy a couple of times. And the guy probably did stagger off with his hands out and then fall on the ground, but it wasn't because the cop shot him. It's because he was already shot. And if he's a trained cop, I can't see him getting out of the car and shooting him more. Unless he was just
shooting him more.
Yeah, hey,
nice.
Look, that's what the witnesses said, that he was running down the street and he was shot, 4 times? CNN said he was shot 4 times in the back. Right. According to 3 forensics experts, all the shots entered from the front.
It's just a blast fest, but who knows? Well, you know what? This second hour kind of got derailed by the news of the day, but that kind of happens when news happens. And you know what? You do a little show on Saturday nights, News on the Flip Side, with Stephanie Benetti. 4 big hours?
Stephanie Benetti, yes. Well, actually, we do one on Thursday, too, now. News on the Flip Side Live. Not this Thursday, it's Thanksgiving, but actually, we've been having a lot of fun. They've been a lot of fun. And I've caught myself now, and I shouldn't say this again, but I've actually had to defend the president like 3 times now. And y'all know I don't like this guy. Quit making me do this.
Sometimes he backs you in a corner and says,
I got to say something. And since he's lame duck, he looks like he's taking on more of a role that I might actually like the guy about. He finally grew a set of balls. I don't know what took so long. It's
well, when you got nothing to lose,
I guess he
finally,
figures, you know what?
Right?
It's my reputation now. Who screws it? The Congress is gone. It doesn't matter. So I'm going, woohoo, and have some fun. I don't blame him. I would too. Yep.
You're right about that. You have to definitely think about your own reputation on the way out the door. You got a couple years left, and that's exactly what you have to think of at this point. And expect a lot of staffers to jump ship.
Obamacare is not going to be his legacy, so he needs something else. Immigration is going to help, but that's not going to be either. But he's got lots of opportunities here over the next 2 years, and if he plays his card right, he might give Hillary a chance. Right now, they did a poll yesterday. Actually, they did 3 polls yesterday. If Jeb and Hillary were to run today, it would be a landslide.
Yeah.
Jeb Bush would win with a landslide.
Oh,
now,
I love me some Jeb
everybody
Bush.
keeps telling me, I don't know about no
Bush.
Bush, but yeah, all the polls say he's going to win because he's not like his daddy and his brother. He's a whole different guy. I don't know. I just want to see somebody run that I like for a change. I don't even care who it is. Democrat, Republican, Independent. I just want to like the guy. I have not liked a GOP or Democratic president since Reagan and Clinton. That's the last 2 presidents I liked.
You might as well ask me to vote Pepsi or Coke. That's what it's like.
I'm just at a loss.
I probably couldn't.
And you know what, guys? I think there
taste
should be a new law: no presidents under 55. Because let's be honest, the last 4 young presidents we had sucked. Carter sucked.
Right,
Bush sucked. Clinton, he wasn't that bad. Obama just completely sucked, and what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. He sucked. So that's 4 of them. That's 4 of them in 30 years. Now Reagan did really well. Well, Nixon was doing well.
He did preside over a great decade.
And,
at least. Reagan always had the 80s, so he
Clinton did okay. See, I don't mind voting for anybody. That's why I'm in the middle. I'll vote for anybody as long as I think they're going to do a good job. But frankly, I haven't seen anybody. And I got to say, this shit with McCain in his general the other day, talking about he's I can't think of his name. He's talking about they're turning the ISIS thing into another Vietnam, is what they were saying.
Oh,
and I was like, have I been missing some news? Well, I was just wondering if I'd been missing some news, and I didn't know we got a bunch of 60,000 troops over there and weren't doing anything but getting high. I mean, I didn't know it's turning into another Vietnam.
Hey, that sounds like a good time. You know what else is a good time when it comes to news? Our buddy Tree Sheridan doing Global Newsmaker Focus right here, 11 p.m. Sunday nights for an hour and a half. You can check her out. She's back, baby, and she's giving it the business to everybody. No, I don't know.
We had a ball. It was
probably not.
We had
She's
it
not
was
roughing
me and
anyone
her
up.
and
No.
Stephanie and Comp and Glenn and somebody
Yes.
else. Man, we was just going at it Saturday night. It was a free for all.
Always a good time when that happens. There you go. Nice round. See, you can manage to get a round table to happen, but me, I run people away from the table.
Well, you were trying to play with the Move Fun bunch. I mean, they're not fun anyway, man. They're still gun shy of me. They don't want to come around you. They're like, well, Lord have, and you got to remember something too. They got to be real careful with fighting with you. Like I told Jeff the other day,
right. I
said they can pick on y'all. I said, but when they cross line, they're going to piss me off. And as mean as you and Jeff are, y'all are just like sweetie pies next to me. So they already knows it. They've already felt the yoke once. They're just hoping I'll leave them alone because I actually have the goods on their ass. And when I talk, I'm talking about it from the inside. I'm like, oh no.
That's the best place to get
like
the goods.
That,
I found.
What's that KRGA radio network? They are the disinformation radio network. That's what they are. No, I mean I hear them all the time say we're the official MUFON network radio. Well, guess what, boys? If that's the truth, we already know MUFON's been infiltrated, which means you have now been infiltrated, which means you are the Disinfo Radio Network. That's what I'm gonna start calling them from now on, the Disinfo Radio Network. I'm even gonna start coming down on some of their hosts because I know a couple of their hosts personally agree with me that MUFON ain't the clean little sweet organization is, but yet they're still over there, so that makes them disinformation agents as well.
Oh boy,
that's
guilty
right.
by association. Joe Montolo on the
They
warp.
want to play around. I keep telling them, just leave me alone, and I'll leave you alone. You don't want to leave me alone. You want to get me involved, then it'll get nasty. Because what the hell? First.
No, I just think it's a great opportunity to point out stupidity of the person getting upset. You know, I just like pointing out hypocrisy and some others' own faults when they start throwing stones. I just love that part.
Who was it the other day I was talking to? One of them. I said, if you put Stephanie and I's salaries together, we make more than everybody that works at your network does in 2 years. I was like, come on, just get off of it. You know, when you get.
Oh boy, we got to get out of here, Joe. We got to get out of here. Yeah, I'm getting in trouble here. I'm getting the evil eye and the stink eye, and I'm getting a lot of heat coming down on me because.
There, huh?
But
hey,
I'm breathing hard. Definitely. Well, you can check out the Mind Cemetery right here on UPRNTalkRadio.com. 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern. Check us out on SoundCloud.com/UPRN, Podbean.com, and Podgarden.com. So there's several platforms there as well to listen to the downloads. Let's see. Tomorrow night, you're going to be able to check out After Hours AM. Joel and Bruce will be on 9 p.m. Tuesdays following the Big Shoulder Sports Show, so don't forget. And if you tune in a little early, don't worry. We're only talking sports for a little while, and then you'll get Joel and Bruce with After Hours AM. So see you next week. And Joe, have a happy Thanksgiving.